What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to Not Your Average Meta, an MTG Commander channel dedicated to bringing you decks and commanders you wouldn't normally find in your average meta. This week's video is brought to you by our new channel sponsor, International MTG. If you're looking for competitive pricing on your favorite MTG cards, old and new, be sure to check out the International MTG store and TCG Player, link in the description of this video. Apparently this week on Not Your Average Meta, Fog didn't get the memo that we were all playing blue, so he brought his Boros deck to an all-blue fight. First up, we have Brendan, a newcomer to the channel, playing Fog's newly made Donal Herald of Wings deck. This is a mono-blue Sphinx tribal deck that looks to take advantage of having multiple copies of effects from his flying creatures. Then we have Mr. I'm Not a Combo player himself, Gavin, playing a CDH Emry Lurker of the Loch deck. This is a mono-blue artifact deck where he looks to win the game with one of his many infinite combos. Next, we have Justin back playing his rarely used Talrand Sky Summoner deck. This is a mono-blue deck that looks to sling control spells in order to build up an army of flying Drake tokens. Finally, we have the lone non-blue player this week, Fog playing his Akiri Jeska Boros vehicle deck. This deck looks to cast a lot of vehicles and ride them over his opponents to victory. Now that we're fighters, let's step into the Thunderdome and see which deck will come out on top. Turn 1, Brendan plays an island and taps 1 for his Silver Raven, scrying 1 to the top of his library. Gavin draws and plays an island. He then casts a Lotus Petal and a Mox Diamond, exiling a blue card from his hand. Gavin then cracks his Lotus Petal to cast his commander Emry, milling 4 cards as she enters. Justin draws, plays an island, and passes. Fog draws and plays an Ancient Den before passing. Brendan draws and plays another island, before paying 2 for a Thought Vessel. He then goes to combat, swinging his Raven at Fog for 1 damage. Gavin draws and plays an Aether Spellbomb and a Codex Shredder. He then taps Emry to bring a Seed of the Synod back into play from his graveyard. At the end of his turn, Justin casts Brainstorm to draw 3 and put 2 cards back on top of his library. Justin draws for turn and then plays another island before passing. Fog draws and plays a mountain for turn, then taps out to cast his commander Akiri Line-Slinger. Brendan plays a 3rd island for turn, then taps out to cast a Lithoform Engine. He then goes to combat and swings his Raven at Gavin for 1 damage. Gavin draws, then taps Emry to cast his Lotus Petal from his graveyard. He then pays 3 and casts Heuristic Study. Justin draws and plays a 3rd island, holding up that counter mana. Fog draws and plays a Waste for turn. He then pays 3 to cast Forsake the Worldly, targeting Gavin's Spellbomb. Gavin draws off the Study trigger, and in response, pays to sack his Spellbomb and bounce Akiri back to Fog's hand. Brendan draws and plays an island for turn. He then pays 4 to cast his commander, Donal, from the command zone. Gavin draws off the Study trigger, and Justin then responds by casting You Find the Villain's Lair, countering his commander. Gavin then draws an additional card while Justin gets hit for 1 Raven damage. Gavin draws for turn and plays an island. He then pays for an expensive Soul Ring before tapping Emry to recast a Spellbomb from his graveyard. Gavin then casts Ancestral Knowledge to look at the top 10 cards of his library. Justin draws and plays a tapped Desert of the Mindful for turn. Fog draws and plays a Plains before tapping 4 to cast an Untethered Express. Brendan draws for turn then pays 5 for Blade Griff Prototype, allowing Gavin to draw off his Study trigger. He then swings his Raven at Fog for another singular damage. Gavin untaps for turn and plays another island. He then lets his Ancestral Knowledge die, shuffling his graveyard before he casts a Preordain. He then scries 2 and draws a card. Gavin then transmutes Muddle the Mixture to go get an Intuition from his library. At the end of his turn, Justin casts Opt to scry 1 and draw a card. Justin plays another island for turn, then taps 2 for a Cursed Totem, effectively shutting down Emry. Fog draws and plays a Buried Ruin as his land for turn. He then pays 2 for a Heart of Kirin and another 2 to recast Akiri. Fog then uses Akiri to cruise Express and swings the Express at Brendan for 5 damage. Brendan draws and goes to combat, swinging his Blade Griff at Gavin and his Raven at Justin. In response, Gavin pays to sack his Spellbomb, bouncing the Blade Griff back to Brendan's hand, while Justin takes his 1 damage. He then recasts a Blade Griff Prototype and passes. Gavin draws for turn and plays an Ancient Tomb before tapping 3, taking 2 damage to cast a Shimmer Mirror, before he casts Careful Study, drawing 2 and discarding 2 cards. He then pays 1 to recast his Chromatic Sphere and ends his turn. Justin draws and casts Omen of the Sea, scrying 2, putting 1 card on the bottom of his deck and 1 on top, before drawing a card. He then plays an island for turn and passes. Fog draws and plays a mountain for turn before paying 3 to cast his other commander, Jeska, Thrice Reborn. He then casts Mirror Entity and taps him to cruise Express. Fog then also taps Akiri to cruise Heart of Kirin. He then uses Jeska's Zero ability to have his Express deal triple damage. He then swings the Express at Gavin and the Heart of Kieran and Justin. Justin takes his damage, and in response, Gavin sacks his Sphere to add a mana and draw a card. He then flashes into Grinding Station before blocking with his Mirror, only taking 12 damage. Brendan draws a turn and plays an island before going to combat. He swings his Raven at Gavin and his Blade Griff at Fog this time. Fog then takes a Loyalty ability off of Jeska in order to crew the Heart of Kieran and blocks the Blade Griff while Gavin takes his damage. At the end of his turn, Gavin casts Mystical Tutor to go get a Fierce Guardianship and puts it on top of his library. Gavin draws a card he tutored for, then plays a Mox Amber before paying 2 to cast Isochron Scepter, imprinting Dramatic Reversal. In response, Justin casts Neutralize, but this is then countered by Gavin's Fierce Guardianship. Gavin then uses the Isochron Scepter and Kodak Shredder to mill the table out for the win. Alright, we got Gavin with his glasses on. Got another win today. He's collecting pins like crazy out here. How do you feel about your win you got? I honestly don't remember what happened, so.
Infinite combo.
I infinite comboed. I said I was done being a combo player this season. All that. I'm back. I don't care. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get the end of the year trophy by any means necessary. I don't care if I have to play combos for the rest of the season. I'm out.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can see more games and decks you wouldn't normally see in your average meta.